right. Hey, good afternoon, and thank you for being with us today. I'm MoDOT's Director, Ed Hassinger, and today I'm proud to share with you some very positive progress we've made here in the state of Missouri. For the third year in a row, we have seen a decline in fatalities on Missouri's roadways. This year, our preliminary numbers show we lost 911 people due to fatalities on Missouri's roadways, down from 955 the previous year. That's a 5% reduction. And compared to 3 years ago, we've achieved a 14% reduction in fatalities. This is the first time that we've experienced 3 years in a row of reduction in fatalities since 2019. This is very, very good news. It's been a lot of hard work on a lot of people's part to get here. But while we mark this successful progress, I just want to stress that 900 people lose their lives on our roadways every year, and that is just totally unacceptable. So we still have work to do. Every one of those fatalities is a person, is a family member. It's not just a number, and it's their families and their communities changed forever. So we need to keep improving. We need to do better. And as we look ahead, we have a really historic opportunity to work to make 2026 the fourth year in a row that we have a reduction in fatalities, and it starts here at the beginning of the year. So especially during this time period where we're making record investments in transportation that include economic development but also improve safety, we need people to make sure that they slow down when they're in our work zones. That's one of the things that they can do. Our partners in the Missouri State Highway Patrol have been very instrumental in this reduction. You're going to hear from them later. But when they send the message, they do it in a little more unpleasant way. Sometimes people need a little more motivation to do the right thing, and they do that on a daily basis. So as we make progress and keep moving forward, one of the things that we can do is what we're doing here today, is speak up, right? We need to talk about what are the impacts of those decisions that people make. And while we're working to make roads safer through investment, we need people to make the right decisions at the same time. So last year, I guess it'd be last year now, when we were coming into October, we were seeing a disturbing trend that fatalities were on the rise, and we thought that we would be standing here today saying the streak is over. We've had more fatalities this year than last year. And so in October, we kind of mobilized our team and our partners across the state in law enforcement and community activism to go and say, hey, you can help us if you change your behavior. And we did that. And as a result of that, in November and December, we had the lowest number of fatalities in those 2 months than we've had in the last 5 years. So speaking up matters, and people's decisions matter on what they do when they get into a motor vehicle. Those 4 things that people can do that are really front of mind: buckle up, put your phone down, don't speed, and don't drive impaired. If you'll do those 4 things, we'll be in a better place, and you'll get to where you're going in a safe manner. So we want you to do that every time. Our ultimate goal is 0 fatalities. And while 0 fatalities in the state of Missouri sounds like kind of an ominous thing that we'll never get to, it is attainable. And it really starts with, how about we have 0 fatalities in our own family? What if we could get to 0 fatalities in our own organization, our church, our school, our community? And if we start at that level and keep building on that, we can get to 0 fatalities in this state. So we're on the right track. The trend is the right way, and we want to make sure that we continue that trend in the coming year. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about today is we have the blueprint that we are putting out there that's called our Show Me Zero plan, that's really asking for people to do that and showing what their roles can be in that successful story. So we want every school and every county and every city and every family to join us in that effort And so to give you kind of a little more detail about that, I want to bring up our state highway safety and traffic engineer, John Nelson, to give us some insight into our Show Me Zero plan. John?
All right, thank you, Director, and good afternoon, everyone. I do want to say a special thanks to the Missouri State Highway Patrol for being here and being such an important partner in this mission. My name is John Nelson. I'm the State Highway Safety and Traffic Engineer for MoDOT, and I'm honored to be here today, speaking really on behalf of our partners of the Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety. And as the Director mentioned, 3 years in a row of declining roadway fatalities, and I think the question now becomes, how do we keep those numbers from ticking back up? Or more importantly, how do we continue driving those numbers down? How do we achieve that fourth year in a row of progress? How do we achieve zero fatalities in communities all throughout this state? And that's where our new strategic highway safety plan, Show Me Zero, really comes into play. Show Me Zero is a strategic plan that provides strategies and solutions that every person traveling on Missouri's roadways can implement starting today, to keep not only themselves safe, but really to keep all of those they share the road with safe as well. Show Me Zero, it's not just a plan for MoDOT or other safety-minded organizations. Rather, it's intended for all Missourians because it's going to take all of us to get where we really want to go. When we developed the Show Me Zero plan, we did so using a data-driven approach to identify the most pressing issues occurring on our roadways, and then working alongside our partners, we identified a diverse and comprehensive group of solutions that can address these issues from multiple perspectives. And these partners, collectively known as the Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety, it includes a variety of disciplines such as engineering and public works, law enforcement, emergency response, public health, education, advocacy, and many more. So by design, the Show Me Zero plan, it's intended to include something for everyone. And implementing these solutions in this plan at all levels really is the key to capitalize on the tremendous opportunity that we have before us and to keep that momentum going. It's the key for how we can achieve that fourth year in a row and then a fifth year in a row and so on. The plan embraces a method known as the Safe System approach. And just in short, this is a balanced, people-centered approach that starts with the principle that death and serious injuries on our roadways are unacceptable. But it also takes into account that we as humans, we make mistakes. Sometimes we make poor choices, and that makes us very vulnerable every time we travel. And unfortunately, the variables at play in these crashes, they're far too numerable to just have a one-size-fits-all solution. So the Safe System approach, it aims to implement solutions that create this redundancy of safety and minimizes our vulnerabilities. So to this end, our Show Me Zero plan, it prioritizes these 5 key elements for improving roadway safety. Number 1, we want safer people. That is, when we get behind the wheel, when we use the transportation system, we all need to be making simple and safe decisions, things like buckling up and putting the phone down. Number 2, we talk about safer vehicles. We acknowledge that there are different and various vehicle types on our roadways, each presenting unique challenges when they're out there on the road with us. Number 3 is safer speeds. We already know that speeds not only lead to crashes, but more importantly, higher speeds typically result in higher severities. So we must promote safe speeds that support traffic flow while also minimizing risk. Safer infrastructure is number 4. So in the built environment, there are proven roadway treatments that agencies like MoDOT, other local public agencies can implement to provide a transportation system that promotes safe driving and minimizes the consequences of those poor choices. And then finally, the 5th element is safer response. When these crashes do occur, having timely and effective post-crash care is essential to helping save lives and treat serious injury. That is our last line of defense. So by adopting a plan that's organized around these 5 elements, we increase the redundancy of safety on our highways, and just as important, we identify something that every single person can do to get involved. And this redundancy, this global participation, they are key. If one element or one person fails, the idea is that another element or a countermeasure picks up the slack to save a life. And for this redundancy to work, it really must be anchored in this principle of shared responsibility. And again, that is that we all have a role to play. So whether we're a highway engineer, a law enforcement officer, a first responder, a parent, a coach, a teacher, a friend. We each have this area of influence, areas in which we can both model and encourage safe habits when using the roadways. And if we all take time to exercise this responsibility, making these safe choices to buckle up, put the phone down, drive sober, obey the traffic laws, our road to zero fatalities will be much easier and much quicker. But the key is it really does take all of us. So that's why our Show Me Zero plan, it's full of solutions that can be implemented by various groups and organizations throughout the state, from policymakers and statewide agencies all the way down to the family and individual level. So again, whether we're the ones designing and building roadways or enforcing traffic laws, we're educating our youth, or simply getting behind the wheel, it takes all of us doing our part to get there. That's how we're going to save lives. That's how we keep moving closer to zero. And I'll just reiterate what the director said. This idea of zero fatalities in Missouri, it can feel impossible. And I think when we think about it at a statewide level, it does seem unrealistic sometimes. But let me just encourage you not to think of zero in terms of Missouri right now, but think about it in terms of your community, your school, your family, your circle that you do life with. So let's start there, and let's start to build these little pockets of zero all throughout the state of Missouri. And in doing so, let's get to that 4th year in a row of fewer traffic fatalities. So to learn more about the Show Me Zero plan, I invite everyone to go to savemolives.com, where you can find the plan in its entirety, and you can find specifically ways that you can help wherever you are right now. So on behalf of the Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety, I want to thank everyone for doing their part, for working with us. It really does make a difference. Thank you.
So it's now my pleasure to bring up one of our preeminent partners in this effort with the Missouri State Highway Patrol, Sergeant Dallas Thompson.
Good afternoon. My name is Sergeant Dallas Thompson. I'm with the Missouri State Highway Patrol, work out of the Troop C headquarters. First off, I just want to take a moment to say thank you to our friends with the media that's here today. You guys really always are here to help us get our messages out, so we appreciate that. Today we are encouraged to report meaningful progress on roadway safety across Missouri. In 2024, we lost 955 people. In 2025, that number declined to 911. So while any loss of life is still too many, this reduction reveals real lives that are saved, and that matters. From our perspective, this progress is not accidental. It reflects a sustained, coordinated effort focused on enforcement, education, and public messaging. Our troopers have remained highly visible on Missouri roadways, targeting behaviors that we know contribute to most fatal crashes: excessive speed, distracted driving, impaired driving, and failure to wear seatbelts. Strategic enforcement campaigns, saturation patrols, and data-driven deployment of our troopers have all played a role in changing the behavior and preventing tragedy before it occurs. Equally important has been our commitment to education and outreach. Our agency has spent countless hours on programs and messaging in schools and meetings, other public events, reinforcing simple but life-saving messages. Buckle up, slow down, don't drive impaired, and stay focused behind the wheel. Public messaging campaigns, especially around peak travel periods, have helped ensure these messages reach Missourians where they live, work, and travel. We also want to thank MoDOT for the strong partnership that we have with them. Through shared data, coordinated initiatives, improved roadway designs, and timely communication, this partnership strengthens our collective ability to reduce crashes and fatalities. When engineering, enforcement, and education work together, the impact is far greater than any one effort. And most importantly, we want to thank the people of Missouri. This reduction could not have been possible without drivers making safer choices, wearing seatbelts, designating sober drivers, obeying speed limits, and just looking out for one another on the roadway. Public cooperation is a critical part of our safety. While we are encouraged by this progress, our work is not finished. The Missouri State Highway Patrol will remain committed to continuing these efforts, strengthening partnerships, and pushing towards our ultimate goal: zero fatalities. Every life matters, and together we can move in the right direction. Thanks.
I just want to close by saying thank you for being here. We all have a role to play, and those simple decisions that we make every day really matter. Make sure that you buckle up, put your phone down, don't drive impaired, and slow down. If you do those things, we'll all get to continue on the trend that we are towards zero fatalities. So thank you all for coming today.